Walk into the right showroom and you'll see it. Price tags slashed, incentives stacked, and sales teams trying hard not to look desperate. These are 7 Honda motorcycles dealers are trying to move fast. Some missed the mark, others never found their rider, and one is a high-profile misread Honda didn't see coming. Stick around. Number 1 is the shocker. Number 7, Honda Grom SP. When Honda first introduced the Grom, it was a revelation. Compact, affordable, and full of personality, it quickly gained a cult following. Riders loved its playful handling, easy customization, and low entry cost. But then Honda decided to do something different. They introduced the Grom SP, short for Special Performance, as a more premium version of the beloved mini bike. It was meant to elevate the platform with upgraded components and styling. Unfortunately, it missed the mark with the very riders who had made the Grom a legend. At the heart of the Grom SP is a 124 cubic centimeter air-cooled single-cylinder engine producing 9.7 horsepower and 7.7 pound-feet of torque power is delivered through a 5-speed gearbox that offers basic engagement but doesn't drastically improve on the base Grom's already humble performance. What changed most were the looks and a few upgraded parts. Bronze-colored wheels, special graphics, and a redesigned seat. While these tweaks made the SP look slightly more aggressive, they did not meaningfully enhance the ride experience for most buyers. From a technical standpoint, the Grom SP remains a simple machine. The braking system consists of a single hydraulic disc at the front and a matching disc at the rear, giving it reliable stopping power for such a light machine. Suspension includes an upside-down front fork and a monoshock at the rear, slightly tuned for a firmer feel compared to the base model. The total curb weight is 227 pounds, making it one of the lightest motorcycles on the market. It has a seat height of just 30 inches and a fuel capacity of 1.6 gallons, further underscoring its urban and beginner-friendly character. The trouble begins when you look at the price. With a starting cost of $3,899, the Grom SP crosses into the pricing territory of used cruisers, like a Rebel 500, or entry-level naked bikes like the Yamaha MT3. For a bike with modest specs, that pricing alienates the core Grom audience, riders looking for fun on a budget. In the mini-moto community, affordability is king. The ability to modify, customize, and play around with the bike is part of the culture. Riders do not want to spend extra for factory cosmetics when they plan to strip or change them anyway. Compounding the problem, the SP's visual upgrades did not do enough to justify the added cost. While the bronze wheels and special livery catch the eye, they fall short of turning the bike into something meaningfully special. There is no boost in horsepower, no change in torque, no top-end equipment to warrant the upcharge. And because of that, buyers are walking past the SP and going straight for the standard Grom, or looking elsewhere entirely. Dealerships are now sitting on SP models that are collecting dust. While base Groms move quickly, especially in urban markets and among first-time riders, the SP is often left behind. Buyers either do not see the value or are unwilling to pay the premium for minor aesthetic upgrades. As a result, many dealers are forced to keep SP models on the floor much longer than expected. If small and pricey was a misstep, Honda's next move tried to be futuristic and just confused everyone. Before we go further, what you ride and where do you ride? Tell us in the comments below. We would love to hear your stories. Number 6. Honda DN01. There are motorcycles that break the mold and create a new category, and then there's the DN01, a futuristic gamble by Honda that seemed designed more for a concept showroom than a real-world dealership. The DN01 aimed to reinvent urban motorcycling. At its core is a 680 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled V-twin engine that delivers 61 horsepower and 47 pound-feet of torque. Honda paired it with a dual-clutch transmission, giving the bike an automatic twist-and-go feel, and added distinctive underseat storage, full-body integrated fairing, and a low-slung design that made the whole package look like something out of a sci-fi movie. On paper, the DN01 is a commuter's dream. It's approachable, practical, and futuristic. But that turned out to be exactly the problem. The DN01 didn't fit anywhere. Was it a cruiser? Not quite. A scooter? Too large and too fast? A sport bike? Definitely not. That identity crisis turned off traditionalists who didn't want a motorcycle that looked like a Star Wars prop. Even younger riders, who typically welcome innovation, weren't impressed. For many, the DN01 didn't have the soul of a real motorcycle. It felt too much like an appliance. No clutch lever, no gear shifting, no rumble, just a digital dash and a silent surge of torque. And for all its modernity, the riding experience left a lot to be desired. The seating position was awkward, the reach to the bars felt unnatural for taller riders, and the feedback from the front end was vague. Honda intended it to be a stress-free commuter, but instead, it created a machine that felt emotionally disconnected. Combine that with a relatively high price tag of $8,999, and it's no wonder sales sputtered almost immediately. For that kind of money, riders could get more traditional and engaging bikes with real aftermarket support, and that made the DN01 an extremely tough sell. The DN01 features a single front disc brake with a 2-piston caliper and a rear disc brake with a single piston setup, offering moderate stopping power more suited to city riding than spirited performance. The front suspension uses conventional telescopic forks, while the rear is equipped with a single Pro-Link shock mounted beneath the seat, tuned for comfort rather than cornering stiffness. The bike weighs in at 470 pounds fully fueled, placing it in the mid-weight category, but its stretched-out design makes it feel longer and heavier than it actually is. With a low 31.1-inch seat height and a wide front fairing, its stance is unique, low and long. But that very layout contributes to its strange ride dynamics and visual disconnect. Dealerships quickly realized they had a problem. Inventory started stacking up. Buyers weren't showing interest, even with aggressive trade-in deals. The DN01 simply couldn't find its place. Honda eventually phased it out, but that didn't stop dozens of units from lingering on showroom floors. Without a passionate fan base or second-hand demand, dealerships were left trying to clear stock with little success. If identity crisis sank this one, the next Honda tried to please everyone and pleased no one. Number 5. Honda CTX 700. When Honda released the CTX 700, it was supposed to be a bridge between comfort and confidence. The goal was clear: build a motorcycle that felt as familiar and unintimidating as a sedan, while still delivering on the freedom and lifestyle of two wheels. It featured a 670 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine, producing 48 horsepower and 44 pound-feet of torque, paired with an optional automatic transmission using Honda's dual-clutch system. The CTX was positioned as the ultimate entry-level cruiser, easy to ride, easy to own, and easy to live with. But in trying so hard to please everyone, Honda created a bike that pleased almost no one. The CTX leaned heavily into accessibility. It had a low seat height of 28.3 inches, swept-back handlebars, and forward-set foot controls to mimic the relaxed posture of a cruiser. On city streets, it offered smooth acceleration and low-speed stability that could inspire confidence in new riders. But the engine character was subdued, delivering power without any drama or soul. For experienced motorcyclists, the CTX was too mild. There was no thrill in its throttle response, no edge in its exhaust note, and no personality to set it apart. The automatic transmission only added to that disconnect, eliminating one of the most engaging parts of riding, shifting through gears. While the CTX was supposed to win over beginners, the pricing did it no favors. Starting at $7,699, it was significantly more expensive than other beginner bikes on the market, including Honda's own Rebel series. The CTX didn't justify the premium. Riders found themselves paying more for a bike that did less. Less customization, less excitement, and less long-term potential. Where the Rebel 500 or even the CB 500X offered an engaging ride and future upgrade paths, the CTX felt like a terminal point. a bike you outgrew before you even finished paying it off. Critics weren't kind either. Reviewers repeatedly described the CTX as forgettable. The styling was bland, with bulbous bodywork that lacked the aggressive edge of a cruiser or the clean simplicity of a naked standard. There was no strong visual identity, no classic lines, no modern aggression, no custom flair. And for an audience that values individuality, this was the kiss of death. The CTX became the motorcycle equivalent of a beige appliance, functional, reliable, but utterly lacking in excitement. The mechanical setup didn't help its case either. The CTX 700 came equipped with a single-disc brake up front and a single disc at the rear, with basic two-piston calipers offering just enough stopping power for casual riding. Suspension duties were handled by conventional telescopic front forks and dual rear shocks. Comfort-focused, yes, but not capable of handling spirited riding or dynamic roads. The bike weighed in at 475 pounds fully fueled, which made it manageable for most riders, but heavier than other entry-level options in its class. The ergonomics were designed for comfort, but the result was a disconnected ride that lacked feedback and precision. Riders frequently reported that it felt sluggish in corners and underwhelming on the highway. Too mild? The next Honda flips to practical but ends up flavorless. If this story hits home, make sure to like and subscribe to never miss another discount. Number 4. Honda N C750X. Some motorcycles are built to thrill, while others are built to function. And then there is the NC750X, Honda's interpretation of a two-wheeled utility vehicle. Powered by a 745 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine, the bike delivers 58 horsepower and 47 pound-feet of torque. The standout feature is its dual-clutch transmission, which offers fully automatic or manual shifting at the push of a button. Honda also designed it with practical features like an underseat fuel tank and a lockable storage compartment where the gas tank would normally be. In theory, it's a commuter's dream, a motorcycle that tries to blend the ease of a scooter with the style and versatility of an adventure tourer. On the surface, it checks many boxes. Easy to ride? Absolutely. Fuel efficient? Definitely. The NC750X was designed to be the perfect daily rider for people who want motorcycle practicality without motorcycle quirks. But therein lies the issue. It plays it so safe, it ends up boring. The riding experience is smooth but sterile, lacking the emotional pull that makes riders fall in love with a machine. The engine is quiet and efficient, but not inspiring. There's no signature growl, no edge, and no reward for pushing it hard. The DCT transmission removes the thrill of clutch control, gear selection, and rider input, replacing them with automotive convenience. For longtime riders, this feels like trading away soul for silence. This isn't just a problem of sound or style, it's a problem of identity. Adventure bikes are supposed to be bold, capable machines that inspire exploration. Touring bikes offer luxury and distance. Sport bikes thrill with performance. The NC750X doesn't dominate any category. It lives in the middle, mid-size, mid-power, mid-suspension travel, mid-everything. That middle-of-the-road design might seem smart on paper, but in a market where buyers want machines that reflect personality, passion, or performance, it comes across as flavorless. Despite being priced at $8,699, the NC750X struggles to justify its cost. For a similar price, riders can get more performance from a Yamaha Tracer, more off-road capability from a Suzuki V-Strom, or more long-distance comfort from a Kawasaki Versys. Even Honda's own Africa Twin lineup overshadows it completely. Riders who try the NC750X often find themselves underwhelmed and unimpressed, and those who love riding as a lifestyle usually look elsewhere. When it comes to weight and structure, the NC750X comes in at 475 pounds wet. It features a steel diamond frame, a telescopic front fork with 6 inches of travel, and a rear monoshock setup with adjustable preload. The braking system includes a single 320mm disc up front with a 2-piston caliper and a 240mm disc in the rear with a single piston caliper. In urban regions, dealerships ordered too many of these bikes expecting them to be a commuter hit. But without a compelling emotional hook or a strong community around the model, interest plateaued fast. Riders who buy motorcycles for passion, travel, or expression often ignore the NC750X entirely. If Safe and Sensible doesn't sell, maybe Big Power will, unless the flagship can't find its vibe either. Number 3. Honda CB1000R. Some motorcycles come out swinging with power, precision, and purpose. Others, like the CB1000R, swing in too many directions at once and end up missing the mark entirely. Honda introduced the CB1000R as its flagship naked performance machine, a bike meant to bridge the gap between everyday usability and high-end performance. On paper, the numbers look solid. The bike is powered by a 998 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine that produces 143 horsepower and 76 pound-feet of torque. It also features Honda selectable torque control and a single-sided swing arm, aiming to blend technology with aggressive design. The problem? This bike has no clear identity. Honda called it a neo-sports cafe design, a fusion of retro cafe racer styling and modern muscle. But that blend didn't land with most riders. To fans of old-school aesthetics, it felt too sharp and over-designed. To sport bike lovers, it looked too restrained and awkwardly upright. In short, the styling didn't win over either group. And for a flagship machine, that kind of visual indecision is a death sentence. The price point made things even harder. Starting at $12,999, the CB1000R sits above other high-performance nakeds that offer more visual impact or real-world engagement. Riders comparing it to the Yamaha MT-10 or the Kawasaki ZH-2 often lean toward the competition, where they found either better technology or more emotional character. Even within Honda's own lineup, the bike faced competition from more affordable options like the CB650R, which many felt delivered 90% of the experience for far less money. For all its power, the CB1000R just doesn't offer a compelling reason to choose it over rival models. It doesn't have the raw edge of a super naked, nor the heritage appeal of a classic. It's caught in an awkward middle zone. Riders who buy in expect flagship performance and presence, but what they get is a motorcycle that plays it too safe. The exhaust note is muted. The ergonomics are relaxed rather than aggressive. The overall feel, despite the spec sheet, is tame. Honda aimed for refinement, but in a segment dominated by bold personalities. Refinement alone doesn't sell motorcycles. When it comes to mechanical components, the CB1000R is well equipped, but not exceptional. It uses fully adjustable Showa separate function forks up front and a Showa monoshock in the rear, giving the bike decent handling for urban and canyon use. Braking is handled by dual radial-mounted 4-piston front calipers on 310-inch discs with a single disc in the rear. Curb weight is listed at 467 pounds, which puts it in the same weight class as many of its rivals, though it lacks the same flickability in tight corners. The 19.7-inch seat height is manageable for most riders, and the bike offers a neutral riding position, but it doesn't inspire the aggressive control sport riders typically crave. Despite solid engineering and a respectable spec sheet, the CB1000R never achieved the success Honda envisioned. It exists in a niche that nobody seems to want. Too sporty for comfort-focused riders and too tame for thrill seekers. Its resale value has suffered as a result, and it lacks the enthusiast following that helps keep other underperforming models alive in the used market. Number 2. Honda Fury. At first glance, the Fury looks like everything a cruiser rider could want. Long, low, raked out, and dripping in chrome. It is Honda's boldest attempt at offering a factory-built chopper with all the attitude of a custom build, but none of the hassle. At the heart of the Fury is a 1,312 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled V-twin engine that produces 72 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque. It uses a reliable shaft drive, which is great for maintenance, but the problem is, it just never caught on. Honda tried to combine old-school looks with modern functionality, But what they ended up with was a motorcycle that failed to speak to either audience. When it was first released, the Fury promised to be a no-nonsense chopper for riders who wanted all the aesthetics without the greasy garage time. But despite its clean design and aggressive stance, it lacked the rawness that true chopper fans crave. For Harley loyalists and custom builders, the Fury just didn't feel authentic. It was too refined, too quiet, too predictable. It had the silhouette of rebellion, but none of the grit. Riders who wanted a real chopper experience were not interested in a Honda version with polished fit and finish. Meanwhile, for traditional cruiser fans looking for comfort and everyday usability, the Fury didn't deliver either. The forward controls, wide bars, and stretched front end look fantastic in a showroom, but on the road, they translate into poor low-speed handling and awkward ergonomics. The rake on the front forks is over 32 degrees, which gives the bike its chopper vibe, but significantly reduces its maneuverability, especially in urban traffic or tight corners. Riders often reported fatigue from the stretched riding posture, making it a poor choice for long-distance touring. The braking system includes a single disc up front with a twin-piston caliper and a rear disc with a single-piston setup. While adequate for casual cruising, this setup lacks the stopping power expected in a bike of this size and weight. The suspension is equally minimalistic. Telescopic front forks and a rear monoshock hidden under the frame give it that clean hardtail look, but the ride can be harsh over rough surfaces. The Fury weighs 663 pounds wet, which puts it in heavyweight territory, but unlike more premium cruisers, it doesn't offer the ride quality or refinement to match that weight. The price only made things worse. At $10,499, the Fury lands uncomfortably close to several more capable cruisers with stronger brand equity. Bikes from Harley Davidson, Indian, and even Yamaha's Star line offered either more performance, better comfort, or stronger resale value. The Fury's minimal customization support also hurt its long-term desirability. One of the biggest appeals of a chopper-style bike is personalization, and the aftermarket for the Fury never took off, leaving owners with limited options to make it their own. Dealerships across the country stocked up on the Fury, expecting it to move as a stylish alternative to mainstream cruisers. Instead, it lingered. Buyers simply did not bite. For Harley buyers, the idea of owning a Japanese chopper was a contradiction. And for riders new to cruisers, the aggressive stance and awkward handling made it feel more like a prop than a daily rider. Despite its striking appearance, the Fury never really found its audience. It was stuck between being too wild for one group and too tame for another. Bold styling couldn't save that one. Now meet the modern bobber that lost both sides of its audience. Number 1. Honda Rebel 1100 DCT. When Honda introduced the Rebel 1100 DCT, it was pitched as the ultimate evolution of their entry-level cruiser family. It was meant to be the machine that welcomed Harley-Davidson riders into the Honda world, offering a bobber style, a big displacement engine, and smooth automatic performance. At the center of this heavyweight cruiser is a 1,084 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine adapted from the Africa Twin, producing 87 horsepower and 72 pound-feet of torque. Riders could choose between a traditional 6-speed manual or the dual-clutch transmission that gives this model its name. On the surface, it seemed like Honda had finally built a serious contender to stand toe-to-toe with the big American V-twin names. But very quickly, the Rebel 1100 DCT ran into a serious identity problem. It tried to blend traditional cruiser aesthetics with futuristic ease of use, and in doing so, alienated both camps. Riders who came from Harley-Davidson, Indian, or Victory expected that low-end rumble, mechanical engagement, and raw feel of a proper cruiser. Instead, the DCT setup removed all that. No gear shifting, no clutch work, just twist and go. And while that technology has its place, especially in touring or adventure segments, it felt out of place on a bike that looks like a stripped-down bobber. At a price of $11,499, it also pushed close to some much bigger and more established machines. For just a few thousand more, buyers could get into a Harley-Davidson Softail Standard or even a lightly used Road King with more torque, more presence, and decades of customization culture behind it. And that's where the Rebel lost its footing. It was too polished for the rugged cruiser fan base, yet not aggressive or high performance enough to lure in buyers from the performance naked or sport cruiser world. It sat in a strange no man's land where form, function, and heritage never quite came together. The bike does come with respectable braking and suspension features. It uses a dual front disc brake setup with radial-mounted 4-piston calipers and a single rear disc with a single piston caliper. Suspension is handled by a set of front telescopic forks and rear twin piggyback shocks that offer preload adjustability. It rides on cast aluminum wheels wrapped in fat tires that emphasize the bobber profile. Tipping the scales at 498 pounds wet, the Rebel is relatively light for its class, and the low 27.5-inch seat height gives it an approachable feel for a wide range of riders. Ergonomically, the bike feels planted and balanced at lower speeds, but some taller riders find the mid-controls too cramped for long-distance comfort. The real issue is that this Rebel lacks the soul that cruiser riders crave. The parallel twin engine is smooth, efficient, and reliable, but it doesn't deliver the visceral feel or sound of a proper V-twin. It revs quickly, but without drama. It accelerates well, but without attitude. And while Honda tried to give it stripped-down minimalism, the result feels more sterile than custom. Riders looking for character often describe the Rebel as being too safe, too refined, too quiet. That disconnect between design and experience has left the Rebel 1100 DCT in a tough spot. It is a well-engineered motorcycle, but one without a clear audience. It is too expensive for beginners, too clinical for cruiser purists, and too tame for performance seekers. As a result, dealerships across the country are struggling to move inventory. Riders walk past it in showrooms, either confused by the DCT or uninspired by the experience. What was supposed to be a bold step forward for the Rebel brand has instead become a cautionary tale. That's the list. 7 Honda's dealers are trying to move quietly and fast. Which one would you grab only at the right price? Tell us in the comments. If this saved you time or cash, hit like. And for more real-world market intel, not brochure fluff, subscribe so you don't miss the next hidden deal.